If John Wick died and possessed a 22-year-old influencer who just wanted to go viral, this is that movie. Non-stop action, savage one-liners, and a ghost bromance you'll never forget. Trust me, you haven't seen a revenge story this wild. The city was wrapped in the kind of darkness that felt heavy, almost liquid. The kind that swallowed sound and light alike. In one forgotten corner, where even street dogs refused to wander after midnight, a brutal ambush was unfolding. More than a dozen armed thugs, professional gunmen dressed in black, had surrounded a single man. They came at him from every direction, knives flashing under the faint moonlight, guns raised, chains rattling. They were confident, certain that numbers would win. But the lone man standing in the center was no ordinary prey. He moved like a storm given human form. The first attacker lunged with the knife. The man caught his wrist midair, twisted it until bones cracked like dry twigs, and used the attacker's own momentum to hurl him into two others. Gunshots rang out, but he was already moving, low and fast, disarming one man with a brutal elbow to the throat, then driving his knee into another's solar plexus. One by one, they fell. Screams turned to whimpers as ribs shattered, jaws broke, and bodies hit the cold concrete. He fought without wasted motion, without anger, almost mechanically, as if this was simply what he had been born to do. When the last man collapsed, clutching a broken arm and gasping for air that wouldn't come, the lone fighter stepped back, wiped blood from his knuckles, and finally allowed himself a moment of rest. He leaned against a rusted shipping container, breathing steady, reaching into his jacket pocket for a cigarette. That was when the final bullet came. It was silent until the very last second. A single shot from behind, perfectly placed at the base of the skull. The man's body jerked once, then dropped like a puppet with its strings cut. He was dead before he hit the ground. The shooter stepped out of the shadows, calm and professional. He was joined by two others. Without a word, they wrapped the body in plastic, loaded it into the back of a van, and began the meticulous process of erasing every trace. Blood was scrubbed with industrial cleaner, shell casings picked up one by one, weapons wiped down. Within 20 minutes, the alley looked untouched, as if nothing violent had ever happened there. But they missed one thing. A single brass cartridge casing, ejected from the killer's pistol, had rolled into a crack in the concrete. The wind caught it, rolling it gently at first, then faster, bouncing it down the alley, across sidewalks, through gutters. Carried by the night breeze deeper and deeper into the sleeping city, the scene shifted. Morning light poured over a busy college campus. Students hurried between classes, laughing, scrolling on phones, sipping iced coffee. Among them walked Sophie, an ordinary girl with extraordinary dreams. She wasn't rich, wasn't famous, wasn't particularly lucky, but she had fire inside her. By day she attended lectures. By evening she waitressed at a small restaurant to pay rent. But her real passion, her burning ambition, was to become a social media star, an influencer with millions of followers, someone whose every post changed lives. That was why she had begged, borrowed, and finally secured a meeting with Katayama, one of the biggest content creators in the city. He had hundreds of thousands of followers, brand deals, magazine covers. To Sophie, he was the golden ticket. She arrived at the upscale bar where he had agreed to meet her. Dressed neatly, notebook in hand, full of hope. "Sir," she began earnestly, "I want to be just like you. Please guide me. Teach me how to create content, how to grow. I'll do anything." Katayama barely looked at her. He was already drunk, eyes glassy, pouring another drink. He kept pushing glasses toward her. "Relax, sweetheart. Have a drink first. We'll talk business later." Sophie shook her head firmly. "No, thank you. I don't drink. I just want your advice." He ignored her completely, talking over her, laughing at his own jokes, ordering more alcohol. Hours passed. Sophie sat there, forcing smiles, trying desperately to steer the conversation back to her dreams. But nothing useful came out of his mouth. Her last train home came and went. She was stuck up by the time they finally stumbled out of the bar as dawn broke. Sophie was exhausted, frustrated, and sober. Katayama was the opposite, barely standing. As they descended the exterior stairs of the building, Sophie's foot slipped. She fell forward, catching herself on her hands and knees. That was when she saw it. Right there on the bottom step, glinting in the early morning light, was a brass bullet casing. Without thinking, she picked it up. The moment her fingers closed around the cold metal, something strange happened. For a split second, her vision blurred. She saw a flash, a gun being fired in a dark alley, a man falling, blood pooling on concrete. Then it was gone. Sophie blinked hard, shook her head, and quickly slipped the casing into her purse. She said goodbye to the useless Katayama and hurried home. Outside her apartment building, her best friend Maho was waiting, looking small and scared. There were fresh bruises on her face. "You can't go to your place tonight," Maho whispered. "He's there." Sophie's heart sank. "Why don't you just break up with that bastard already?" They went inside together. The moment the door closed behind them, Sophie froze. Standing in the corner of the hallway was a man, covered head to toe in blood. A bullet wound visible at the back of his head. She screamed. Maho spun around. "What? What is it?" "There's a man. Right there. He's covered in blood." Maho looked, saw nothing, and laughed nervously. "Sophie, there's no one there. Are you okay?" Sophie grabbed a shoe and threw it at the figure. The shoe passed straight through him and hit the wall. "Ghost." Sophie shrieked. "It's a ghost?" The figure vanished as suddenly as he had appeared. Maho, now genuinely frightened, tried to calm her friend down. Just then, her phone buzzed. A text from her abusive boyfriend. "I have to go," Maho said reluctantly. "But promise me you'll see a doctor tomorrow, okay?" The moment Maho left and Sophie locked the door, a deep, calm voice spoke from behind her. Was it really okay to let her go back to that guy? Sophie screamed again and pressed herself against the wall. The bloody man was back. "You just spoke." She gasped out. She ran for the door. But in her panic, she tripped. The ghost reached out to catch her, and the instant his hand made contact, he flowed into her body like smoke pouring into a bottle. Suddenly, Sophie could hear him inside her head. And worse, she could feel that he now shared control of her own body. "Get out of me," she screamed. "Listen," the ghost said calmly, his voice echoing in her mind. "This is my first time being dead. I'm still figuring out the rules. I don't care. Get out." "Fine, fine. Just for today. I'll leave." And he did. Slipping out of her body like mist. Sophie collapsed in relief, whispering prayers of gratitude that she was still alive and alone. Then she turned around. The ghost was standing right in front of her, perfectly solid looking, arms crossed. "Honestly," he said, "possessing a body isn't as fun as I thought it would be." Sophie ran. She bolted down the stairs, heart pounding. But the moment she reached more than 15 meters away from him, he simply blinked into existence right in front of her again. No matter how fast or far she ran, he teleported to stay close. In her blind panic, she ended up in a dark alley, where she saw something that stopped her cold. Maho was there, cornered by her boyfriend. He was screaming at her, demanding money, raising his fist. Sophie started forward. But before she could reach them, the ghost appeared beside her. "You want to punish him?" he asked quietly. Sophie was still terrified of him, but this time she didn't run. "You want power?" he continued. "Take my hand." "No way. I'm not letting you in my body again. You saw the bruises on your friend's face, didn't you? Don't you want to help her?" At that exact moment, Maho's boyfriend struck her again. Sophie watched her best friend crumple. Something snapped inside her. She grabbed the ghost's hand. The possession was instant. Power surged through her limbs, muscle memory that wasn't hers guiding every movement. When the boyfriend turned and swung at Sophie, she caught his arm mid-swing, twisted it until it cracked, and drove a perfect punch straight into his jaw. He staggered, eyes wide with shock and rage, threatening to kill her. Then he dropped unconscious. The ghost left her body, but the boyfriend wasn't finished. He lurched up again, hands reaching for Sophie's throat. The ghost shouted, "Take my hand, quick." But Sophie was too slow. That was when Maho, tears streaming down her face, picked up a loose brick from the ground and brought it down hard on her boyfriend's head. He collapsed, finally still. The two girls held each other, shaking, and stumbled away toward home. The ghost looked down at the unconscious man and muttered, "You should probably check if he's still breathing. Who uses a brick?" Sophie just stared at him. Maho whispered, "You really see someone, don't you?" Sophie nodded slowly. The three of them to living. One dead ended up at a 24-hour convenience store. Over cheap coffee and snacks, Sophie explained everything. Only she could see, hear, or touch the ghost. He could possess her body and use his fighting skills through her. When she suddenly noticed bruises forming on her knuckles from the fight, she exploded at him. "Look what you did to my hands." She grabbed her phone, frantically Googled how to get rid of ghost, bought a large container of salt, and began pouring it in a circle where the ghost sat. People stared. Maho had to drag her away before security was called. "I literally just saved your friend," the ghost said, annoyed. "And this is the thanks I get. Then leave. It's not that simple. Remember that bullet casing you picked up? That's mine. From the bullet that killed me. The moment you touched it, my spirit got bound to you." Sophie's blood ran cold. Someone had murdered him. He introduced himself. "My name is Jackie. Before I died, I was a professional hitman." Sophie nearly fainted. Jackie explained that he had worked for a massive criminal syndicate. Someone in that organization had ordered his death. Until he got revenge, his soul could not move on. "We take them down together," he said, "one by one. Just help me." Sophie, already traumatized, refused outright. She stormed out, telling Maho to ignore the ghost completely from now on and promising to call the police if Maho's boyfriend showed up again. Her next stop was a church. She threw the bullet casing into the donation box and prayed desperately for Jackie to leave her forever. Jackie just stood there, amused. "I'm not an expert, but I'm pretty sure that's not how it works." Just then, her phone buzzed. A message from Katayama, with a photo of him partying with a hugely famous influencer named Narumi. Narumi had over 700,000 followers. To Sophie, this was another golden opportunity. Jackie stared at the photo and frowned. "That guy Narumi, he's bad news." "How would you know?" Jackie struggled, then shook his head. "I don't remember, but I know he's dangerous." Sophie ignored him and went straight to the bar where Katayama and Narumi were holding court. She drank with them, laughed at their jokes, desperate to network. But soon hands were wandering where they shouldn't. Her vision blurred. The room spun. She tried to stand, nearly fell. "I don't feel good," she mumbled. "I need to go home." As she staggered toward the exit, she overheard Katayama and Narumi laughing. Who knew the drug would kick in that fast? That was when Jackie's memories suddenly returned in a flood. He had seen these two men before, many times, buying day trade drugs from his own organization. Sophie's rage overpowered her fear. She turned back, eyes blazing, and said loudly, "Thank you, Jackie, for warning me these two were drugging me." Then, to Jackie, "If this is true, I'm going to break their bones." "How?" he asked. "By letting you in." Jackie hesitated. "Why should I help you?" "Because after this, I'll help you get your revenge." He agreed, but warned her. The bartender and all the staff were in on it too. And they were. When the bartender slipped something into her next drink, Jackie saw it and told her instantly. Sophie stood up, voice ice cold. "I know you just drugged my drink. Turn yourselves in quietly or this is going to hurt." They laughed. Said the police were bought and paid for. Sophie took Jackie's hand. What followed was carnage. Using Sophie's body, Jackie fought like a demon. Every punch, every kick, every joint lock was perfect. Glasses shattered, tables flipped, men flew through the air. The bartender took a blow to the temple and didn't get up again. When it was over, Sophie stared at the dead man and began to cry. Jackie's voice was gentle. "Don't worry, I won't let you go to jail for this." He told her they had to erase all evidence. These men had ruined countless girls. They deserved it, but they needed help. Someone who knew how to clean up a scene properly. He gave her a phone number. She called. 20 minutes later, a stone-cold killer named Kikira walked into the bar. "Where's Jackie?" he demanded. "And who the hell are you?" Sophie explained everything. Kikira didn't believe a word until Jackie possessed her, took Kikira's own knife, and held it to the man's throat while speaking with Jackie's signature smirk. Only Jackie could fight like that. Kikira accepted the truth. He loaded the bodies into a van and drove to the exact same abandoned lot where Jackie had been murdered months earlier. Something about the place stirred faint memories in Jackie's ghost. Kikira disposed of everything perfectly, then dropped Sophie back at her apartment. She thanked Jackie with tears in her eyes. If he hadn't been there, she didn't want to think what would have happened. Jackie smiled softly. In my old life, I killed so many people. But now, in this afterlife, helping people, it feels good. Sophie made him promise, then swear you'll keep being a hero in this afterlife. He swore. She fell asleep exhausted. Meanwhile, at the criminal syndicate, panic was spreading. The new boss, who had taken over after the previous leader's mysterious death and turned the organization even darker, was obsessed with confirming whether Jackie was truly dead. Kikira walked in and casually mentioned that Jackie's ghost had possessed a college girl. The boss laughed until Kikira warned him, "Do not send normal gunmen. No one would survive." The boss sent for anyway. They kicked in Sophie's door that night. Jackie woke her instantly. "Take my hand." The first gunman stepped inside. Jackie took control. Used the man's own gun to shoot the other 3 dead before they knew what was happening. The leader outside saw his team drop, ran in, then watched in horror as Sophie escaped over the balcony. She ran until her lungs burned, ending up back at the abandoned lot where Jackie died. Kikira was already there waiting. He raised a gun at her. "I'm the one who told the boss about you." Jackie exploded with rage and possessed Sophie in an instant. A ferocious fight erupted between two master killers using the same body at different moments. Finally, Kikira, bleeding and broken, confessed. He was the one who shot Jackie that night. But then the full memory returned to Jackie. Kikira had been ordered to kill him. Jackie had quit the organization suddenly, and the new boss couldn't risk loose ends. Kikira had given Jackie a chance to run, but Jackie, tired of the life, tired of the blood, had looked at his old friend and said, "Just do it. End it." Kikira had cried as he pulled the trigger. Now he cried again. Sophie, listening to all this, made a decision. "Why run?" she said. "Let's end the boss instead. Then everything ends." Kikira tried to refuse, then agreed. The 3 of them, living and dead, launched a full assault on the syndicate's headquarters. Jackie, possessing Sophie, moved like a god of war. Gunmen fell in waves. Bullets seemed to miss her by inches. In the final room, only the boss remained. Jackie shot out both his kneecaps, forcing him to kneel. Sophie stepped forward and said, "You're going to pay for the damage to my apartment." The boss, in agony, laughed bitterly. "You destroyed my entire empire. For an apartment?" But that wasn't why she did it. She did it to free Jackie. Kikira put the final bullet in the boss's head. It was over. Sophie limped home through the dawn, thanking Jackie for everything he had done, for saving her, for giving her strength she never knew she had. She turned to say one final goodbye. He wasn't there. Kikira, supporting her, asked gently, "What did Jackie say?" Sophie smiled through tears. "I think he's gone." Kikira nodded. "I'll pay for all the repairs to your place." After that, we never see each other again. A few days later, Sophie was walking down the exterior stairs of a building. Her foot kicked something small and metallic. She looked down. It was the same brass bullet casing. A slow, knowing smile spread across her face. She picked it up, slipped it into her purse, and whispered to the empty air, "Welcome back, Jackie." Sometimes the strongest heroes aren't the ones with the gun. They're the ones brave enough to pick up someone else's bullet and finish the fight. If you love this insane ride, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a breakdown. Drop a comment. Would you let a hitman ghost possess you to take down an entire crime empire? Let me know. Share this video with your squad, and I'll see you in the next one.